An ex-WWE champion offered an AEW contract. Plus, Tony Khan comments on the AEW GCW relationship. And we got some spoilers on an NXT title change. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling news right now. This Friday, it is ROH Final Battle, a double main event that will see Athena and Billie Starkz for the Women's World title. Athena eats corn the long way, apparently. And the other match is Matt Cardona challenging Chris Jericho for the ROH World title, because that's the universe that we now live in.
Yes.
And apparently, some news regarding Matt Cardona and his future status with AEW/ROH has come to light.
Yeah, the Wrestling Observer Radio reports that Matt Cardona has been offered a contract by AEW, but it's not known at this point, however, whether he's actually signed it.
Yeah, he made his debut for ROH recently, returning to AEW TV in the process, kicking off a feud with Chris Jericho over the Ring of Honor World title. And this Friday, Hammerstein Ballroom. Do you think Matt Cardona might be one of these guys that Tony Khan puts into, for lack of a better term, fix Ring of Honor?
Try and give them a bit more star power, maybe, when they're looking for this new TV deal, perhaps? Yeah, maybe. I don't think he'll win the belt, though. I think they'll keep that on Jericho. I feel like you made a really good point last week when we were talking about Ring of Honor, and you I think you were basically saying that they're going to try and use Jericho like they did at the start of AEW. Big name, first champion. Obviously, this isn't the first Ring of Honor champion, but big name champion while looking to expand the company somewhat.
To have someone like, I mean, they did this when they were initially looking for a TV deal for Ring of Honor. It didn't work out.
No.
So we'll try it again, and we'll see how it goes from there. Now, the Ring of Honor World title match featuring Matt Cardona is another interesting piece in the puzzle between AEW and GCW. So recently, there were comments made by Effie on his podcast Weekend at Effie's that apparently was the impetus for Tony Khan to pull Ricky Starks from all GCW dates. However, we're seeing that Matt Cardona, who is very much, whilst he's an independent wrestler, he's ostensibly part of GCW, doing stuff with AEW and Ring of Honor. And we even saw Chris Jericho turning up at a GCW show over the weekend. So with all that going on, of course it was going to come up in the Ring of Honor media call yesterday.
Yes, he was asked directly about it, was Tony Khan, and asked about the working status between both promotions, and he said it remains to be seen. He also revealed that it was Matt Cardona who put the Chris Jericho GCW segment together, and he was happy to send Jericho over to promote the match. We've seen Jericho do this before. I saw it happen live at RevPro when he took out Will Ospreay on the eve of their Wembley match, for example. He likes to do this, but it's interesting to know that Tony Khan was happy to do so, given what you've just said about the kind of the friction that was happening a few weeks ago between the two promotions.
I wonder whether all that friction, the friction between AEW and GCW is more representative of the friction between AEW and Ricky Starks rather than with the promotion as a whole, because it does seem as if there is more working parts between the two currently, and it's something that we're absolutely going to keep an eye on. And then Tony Khan says in the media call, of course, that AEW have done and will continue to do angles with indie shows all over the world. Case in point, last night there's Thunder Rosa singing Fairy Tale in New York at Riot Cabaret here in the UK at the Clapham Grand with Mr. Blobby. Imagine, and someone put this on Twitter, and it's so true. Imagine being in a creative meeting and explaining to Thunder Rosa what the segment's going to be.
I couldn't even explain Mr. Blobby to a fellow Brit. I don't understand really what he's about, but we've all just grown up with him. He's always been part of our lives. No one can really explain the point of him or what he is. But he somehow also gets involved with wrestling on like an annual basis, it seems.
He's a big part of Riot's roster to the point where I put the belt on him at some point.
To be fair,
it's hilarious.
I mean, despite
don't book me for creative, right?
My feelings about Mr. Blobby aside, Riot Cabaret is one of those promotions where I've never been, and it just looks like it's a blast to go to. Lots of silly things happen.
Desperate to go and see it in the new year. A New Year's resolution is to go along to a Riot Cabaret show. I would love to be part of just that noise. It seems like so much fun. Let's talk about about NXT from last night. A couple of moving parts from the show in Lowell, Massachusetts, including quite a memorable promo from Ethan Page.
Yes, Ethan Page. Well, at first, when he came out all sad to cut his promo, I jokingly went, oh, he's lost his smile. No, he explicitly said that in the promo. He went, I've lost my smile, of course, channeling Shawn Michaels, who had that infamous angle in the late 90s, and who books the show.
Yes.
So, interesting one there. He said his recent poor form has made him lose his smile. A line that apparently Michaels made in the same building in Lowell, Massachusetts back in 1997. So that's at least a reason for it, not just a random, it wasn't just a throwaway line. Look, I'm like Shawn Michaels. It was in the same building. And I liked the unique look of the venue as well, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Before we get into the rest of the story, I like that NXT seems to be doing these venues that have a little bit more character to them, rather than sort of just arenas that are very
dressed up to look the same.
The same. Like, I like it when the character comes through an arena, and NXT do that really well.
Absolutely.
But of course, Ethan Page's lost smile turned out to be a ruse because Javon Evans came out to try and hype up Ethan Page, and he ends up getting battered by Ethan Page. He got a chair wrapped around his neck, and Ethan Page stomped on it, and blood pouring out of the mouth of Javon Evans as that segment came to an end. Would that be a neck pillmanizing, or would that just be a variation of a pillmanizing?
I don't know, but the blood came out of Javon's mouth so fast. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he had the blood ready in his mouth. How
would he be ready for that? I don't know. He came out to support Ethan Page.
He did. He
was never going to be ready for that.
He was saying stuff like, don't be all ego, Ethan Page. Show the world the real guy you are behind the scenes. The family man, the proud father, the proud husband. And then Ethan Page attacked him, did that stomp on the chair around his neck and went, this is the real me.
Oh, so Ethan Page and Javon Evans lining up to do a thing. The main event of last night's NXT was Trick Williams versus Eddie Thorpe for the NXT title, ending with a double pin. They kind of had what I believe is the technical term is a cuddle puddle going on that led to both men's shoulders being down and a 3 count on both.
Yeah.
A lot of confusion as NXT went off the air.
There were 2 referees. One had been bumped earlier in the match, then the replacement ref ran out, but unfortunately, the original ref recovered just in time, so they both counted a different man's shoulders down. Ava came out to ringside to try and sort this out, and the show went off the air with her in a heated discussion with both refs over who on earth the champion is.
But on the socials for NXT and for socials for WWE as a whole, actually, we saw video of what happened next with GM Ava instructing Mike Rome to announce that Trick Williams is still the NXT champion. This upset Eddie Thorpe, who got in the face of the greatest general manager, Ava. This brought out Shawn Michaels, who then got shoved by Eddie Thorpe.
Oh my goodness.
What's going on? You've got Kevin Owens shoving Triple H. You've got Eddie Thorpe shoving Shawn Michaels. DX reunion confirmed.
Yeah, against those famous friends, Kevin Owens and Eddie Thorpe.
Exactly.
Yes,
get that thumbnail made, Owen. There it is.
Oh, sorry,
DX
Owen.
reunion confirmed. Exclamation mark, not a question mark for that one.
Right.
So that never made air, but they put it on the socials. Which
I'm assuming they'll air it next week.
I think they'll probably do come back next week to find out what happened. So Eddie and they kind of, do you know what? We'll roll into this now because it's obviously Christmas next week, in case you've forgotten, and they've been taping episodes of Raw and SmackDown and NXT, so everybody can have a lovely bit of Christmas time off. They taped an episode of NXT after NXT last night. We've got a couple of spoilers from it. If you don't want the Christmas Eve NXT spoilt for you, then this is the part where we say, stay safe.
Hide your faces, man.
Hide your face, hide your ears, hide your kids, hide your wife, shut your ears. And okay, you're still here. You know what's coming next. Tell us about next week's NXT.
So first of all, OTM, the tag team, won a Christmas Chaos 4-way match against the No Quarter Catch crew, the D'Angelo family, and Hank and Tank, which means that OTM are now the #1 contenders for Fraxiom's NXT tag team titles. On last night's show, Fraxiom retained against Gallus. They're still going strong, despite, tensions between them sometimes. They seem to be back on good terms, and they are the greatest tag team in all of the land.
Now, following the triple threat match, I've written this down, but I'll mention it here. Following the triple threat match, we had a confrontation, which you'll see next week, between Trick Williams, Eddie Thorpe, and the #1 contender, Obafemi.
Okay.
And this has led to a match being announced for New Year's Evil, a triple threat match for the NXT title between those 3.
Okay.
And you had some interesting thoughts, Jack, upstairs on how this match might go down.
Just looking at the trajectory of all 3 guys in the match, I feel as though maybe Eddie Thorpe will be taking the pinfall in that match. Nothing against his talent as a wrestler. I just think in terms of NXT's direction for all three guys. Trick and Oba are being built up as big stars of the future. And I think that even though Eddie Thorpe is almost guaranteed to be taking the pin, I can't work out quite who the winner will be. It could be Trick Williams or it could be Oba. And as you said, if Oba does win and does pin Eddie Thorpe to become NXT champion, that will be the second time Trick has lost the belt without even being pinned himself.
Gosh, lose the belt without taking a fall. Who do you think he is? Shawn Michaels. Following their appearance on last night's show, we'll see SmackDown's Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, facing off against Fatal Influence and defeating them as well. But the big takeaway from next week's NXT is there has been a new champion crowned in the world of NXT.
It's the Heritage Cup. Lexus King winning his first ever, if we count it as a title, which I think we do.
It is a title. I think a title is a belt is a belt.
It's just a physical representation of the title.
My title is I'm NXT champion.
And in this case, the title is the Heritage Cup, which Lexus King won, defeating Charlie Dempsey for it. But that doesn't tell the whole story. It's the manner in which he won it, which happened after William Regal hit his own son with the brass knuckles to hand Lexus the victory. Now, I'm not surprised at William Regal. He's an evil man. We know this.
He's born naughty.
Yes, exactly. But I am surprised at Lexus King. For a few weeks now, he's been telling us on NXT every week that he's a changed man. He's not reckless like his dad was in his gimmick as the loose cannon. He's not like that. He's just a hard-working babyface boy. He even got this title shot by going through a very wholesome workout segment with Charlie Dempsey last night on the show, which ended with him going, "Wow, Lexus, you really didn't cut any corners in that workout. You get this shot against me for the Heritage Cup, and now look what's happened."
Who's to say? So we haven't seen clips of how this has gone down yet. We only know what happened. So there's a couple of threads that we could pull on here. It could be that he is indeed born naughty like William Regal, and they're in cahoots. They're in cahoots the whole time. It could be a case that William Regal cracks Charlie Dempsey while the referee and Lexus King aren't looking.
He might not have asked for the help.
So he might not know that Regal has bopped his boy for him. He might not know. So there's a couple of ways this can go. I guess we'll find out properly on NXT next week. But Lexus King, the son of Brian Pillman, winning his first bit of gold in the form of a big old trophy in NXT. Hey, is it your last Twitch tonight of 2024?
It certainly is. Myself and Owen are now in charge of the Fulham Swans.
Did they kick off when you changed their name, or were they just all right?
I think we're fine with it. Birmingham didn't go very well, but they wanted to keep us despite getting relegated, and we said we'll put it to the chat, and they voted no, you need to leave this sinking ship. We left Birmingham, having ruined them as a football club, and now we're in London and we're managing Fulham. And honestly, in game, his picture's there. The player liaison guy or whatever, member of the boardroom, is Tony Khan. He's in the game. And he popped up with an email in our inbox. We were like, oh my God. And we looked at his stats, and it was like people skills or people management, 20 out of 20. And we were like, is that really true? All right then, Tony. So this week, I think not only are we going to play some lovely games of football, make some signings perhaps, we're also going to rename all of our coaches and scouts and medical team after AEW talent. So there we go.
That's a wholesome way to end 2024. Twitch.tv/Cultaholic from 6 p.m. GMT. And for the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe and fly, Fulham Swans, fly.
Fly down in London. It's posh London, but fly.